everyone has bad days, but there's a point where that's just no longer an acceptable excuse. This was especially true during war, and many clones would have surely learnt that the hard way. And with that said, today we'll be discussing 5 more dumb acts performed by unknown clone troopers. Sometimes, it's just better to play dead. Something the first clone on our list learned the hard way. In the aftermath of a fierce firefight in the hangar of the Tranquility, one clone has survived the droids long enough to see Asajj Ventress enter the hangar.
There's a ball! Trooper, what have you found? Come in, Trooper! Do you copy?
The smart move in this case would have been to continue to look like you're dead, report to Gree, and then attempt to track her. But instead, this guy decided that the report to Gree just couldn't wait, and it got him killed. Next up, we have a clone who's featured on this channel several times, and for good reason. When you're part of something as pivotal as the Republic invasion of Geonosis during the second battle there, one thing you really don't want to do is jinx the entire landing. Yet, for whatever reason, this clone decided that it would be a brilliant idea to try and tempt fate.
Good thing those bugs can't aim.
While his gunship was coming toward the surface of Geonosis, he decided to comment that the Geonosians can't aim, and his gunship was promptly shot down by a Geonosian pilot, and the Republic landing force proceeded to be torn apart by artillery and starfighters. It just goes to show that if a landing's going smoothly, just keep quiet. It could end up saving your life. If you blink, you'll miss this one. This example of sheer stupidity is on the level of the clone who charged at Krell in our last video, though it often loses attention to the sheer brutality General Grievous expresses a few seconds later. In this clip, during the attack on the Negotiator, this guy and a few other clones decide to turn a gunship into a defensive position. They evidently choose the wrong gunship though, because Grievous makes it a target and attacks. As the general is killing other clones, this guy decides to hasten his fate and lunge at Grievous, an attack that barely lasts a few seconds. He could have at least attempted to shoot or get away, but instead he decided to join his fallen brothers early. This begs the question, why is everyone in the 212th suicidal? What's worse than charging at Pong Krell or General Grievous? Countercharging at Savage Opress, of course. During a separatist attack on Deverin, Clone Commander Trauma and another unknown clone trooper are fighting off battle droids, when they see Savage Opress charge up and start literally cutting through troopers. So, what do? Do they open fire and aim for his unarmored head? Do they retreat to get a better position, or even run? No, of course not. They charge right at him. Savage flings them aside like ragdolls. They were dead on arrival, and they could have avoided it.
Get him!
Now, you can't even say that was heroic because that was also downright suicidal, and Trauma looks like he should have been the commander for the 212th. All I can say is that the Republic really needs to increase their budget for therapy for the clones because they're just out there killing themselves in droves. Someone's got to stop this madness. Now, there were dozens of comments asking why this wasn't number 1 in the last video, so I suppose this is only fair, as it's very much deserved. In our last video, we mentioned a few tactically challenged clones, including AT-RT drivers who charge into a droid army with no cover or hope of doing anything useful, and a clone who utterly failed to rally his men. But all of them got topped by this clone. I guess a blaster just wasn't good enough for this guy because he instead attempted to charge up and punch a battle droid. There's absolutely no excuse for this. Even if his blaster ran out of ammo, he could have just used that instead of his hand, or fallen back to get more. It's a good thing he died because if he survived, he definitely would have been reassigned to sweeper duty on Kamino with some slightly less effective clones. And just before I get into the montages I usually do with these types of videos, I want to make a couple of quick announcements, including that our Clone Wars roleplay Gmod server is back up and running again and it's fully functioning, so for all of you that want to join back, the IP and Discord is in the description below. Also, we do have a couple of new Gmod servers springing up really soon, including one that's just been released, our Santos RP server. As you can see, it's got quite a few things to do, including meth making, becoming a cop, you know, Crimson Cops, all of that fun stuff. It's not even part of the Star Wars genre, so we are expanding a little bit, but we do have a couple of exciting announcements coming up that I will release soon. Anyways, not to bore you, and let's get onto this montage that it's tradition with the dumbest clones, so enjoy the epic sax guy.